Hiya, I've got another story to read to you today, and this story is about a dog called Arthur. Arthur was a very ordinary dog. He lived in Mrs. Humber's pet shop with many other animals, but Arthur was the only dog. All the other dogs had been sold because dogs were very popular. All the dogs except Arthur. He was just an ordinary brown dog who dearly wanted a home with an old pair of slippers to chew. You see Arthur? On Monday morning, Mrs. Humber put some rabbits in the window. By the end of the day, the window was empty, except for Arthur. Nobody wanted an ordinary brown dog. Everyone wanted rabbits. So that night, when all was quiet, Arthur practised being a rabbit. He practised eating carrots and poking out his front teeth and making his ears stand up straight. He practised very hard until he was sure he could be a rabbit. The next morning, Mrs. Humber put some snakes in the window. By the end of the day, the window was empty, except for Arthur. Nobody wanted an ordinary brown dog, not even one that acted like a rabbit. Everyone wanted snakes. So that night, when all was quiet, Arthur practised being a snake. He practised hissing and slithering and sliding and looking cool. He practised very hard until he was very sure he could be a snake. The next morning, Mrs. Humber put some fish in the window. By the end of the day, the window was empty, except for Arthur. Nobody wanted an ordinary brown dog, not even one who acted like a rabbit and a snake. Everybody wanted fish. So that night, when all was quiet, Arthur practised being a fish. He practised swimming and blowing bubbles, breathing underwater. He practised very hard until he was sure he could be a fish. Look, you see him practising being a fish with his head in the water. The next morning, Mrs. Humber put some cats in the window. By the end of the day, the window was empty, except for Arthur. Nobody wanted an ordinary brown dog, not even one who acted like a rabbit, a snake and a fish. Everybody wanted cats. Arthur felt as though he would never find a home with a pair of old slippers to chew. Poor Arthur. The next morning, Mrs. Humber put the rest of her pets in the window. There were 2 hamsters, a cage of mice, 3 canaries, a blue budgerigard, a green frog, 1 sleepy lizard, and Arthur. Look, you see all those animals in the window with Arthur. He's still got his goggles on, hasn't he? Arthur jumped on lily pads, he squeaked, he nibbled cheese, he purred, he croaked, he even attempted to fly. By the end of the day, the window was empty, except for Arthur. He collapsed, exhausted, in the corner of the window. Now he was certain he would never find a home. Whether he was a rabbit, a snake, a fish, a cat, a purple spotted 3-headed wombat, Arthur decided that he might just as well be an ordinary brown dog. Poor Arthur. Late that afternoon, just before Mrs. Humber was about to close the shop, a man came in with his granddaughter. "Excuse me," said the man. "Melanie tells me that you have a rather extraordinary dog who performs all sorts of tricks." "Well, the only dog I have," replied Mrs. Humber, "is Arthur." "There he is, Grandpa, in the window," said Melanie. and she rushed to pick up Arthur, who gave her the biggest, wettest, doggiest lick ever. And Arthur knew that he had found a home. Oh, look, doesn't he look happy? With a pair of old slippers to chew. Oh. So all Arthur needed to do in the end was to be himself. And then he was happy and he got a home that he could go to. That was good, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed that story. We'll have another one another time. Take care. Bye.